The Sodder children disappearance. 5 children who vanished after a fire. On Christmas Eve 1945, in the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, a house burned to the ground. House fires were not unusual at the time. Accidents happened. Electrical systems were unreliable. But what followed this fire was not an accident. When the flames finally died out, 5 children were gone. No bodies were found. No remains were recovered. No evidence suggested they had escaped. And yet, nothing made sense. What happened to the Sodder children remains one of the most disturbing unsolved disappearance cases in American history. Welcome to Phantom Archive. Part 1. The Sodder Family. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants who had settled in Fayetteville, West Virginia. They were well known in the community, hard-working, respected. Together, they had 10 children. On the night of December 24, 1945, the Sodder family gathered in their home to celebrate Christmas Eve. 5 of the children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, stayed awake later than usual, playing with toys and enjoying the holiday. At around 10:30 p.m., the parents went to bed, leaving the children downstairs. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Part 2. The Fire. At approximately 1 a.m., Jenny Sodder was awakened by the sound of a loud bang on the roof. Moments later, she noticed smoke filling the house. The home was on fire. George immediately sprang into action. He attempted to reach the upstairs bedrooms where the children slept. But the staircase was already engulfed in flames. He tried using a ladder kept outside the house. It was missing. Next, he attempted to drive one of his trucks closer to the house to climb onto the roof. Both trucks failed to start. The fire department was called. No one answered. Part 3. Escape and Loss. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children managed to escape the burning house. But 5 children remained inside. With no way to reach them, the family watched helplessly as the house burned to the ground. The fire department finally arrived hours later. By then, nothing remained but ashes. Part 4. The official conclusion. Authorities concluded that the 5 children had died in the fire. The case was closed quickly, but the Sodder parents refused to accept this explanation, and for good reason. Part 5. The first impossibility. No remains. Experienced fire investigators told the Sodders something shocking. Even in intense house fires, human bones remain. But after a thorough search of the ashes, no bones were found. Not fragments, not teeth. Nothing. The fire had burned for less than an hour. It was not hot enough to completely destroy 5 bodies. And yet, there was no trace of them. Part 6. The strange details. As the family began asking questions, disturbing details surfaced. The ladder George had tried to use was later found in a nearby ditch. The Sodder trucks had been working perfectly the day before. Multiple witnesses claimed they saw figures moving near the Sodder home during the fire. One witness reported seeing people throwing something into the burning house. Another claimed to have seen children being loaded into a car near the scene. Part 7. The phone call. Earlier that night, Jenny Sodder received a strange phone call. The caller asked for someone Jenny did not know. In the background, Jenny heard laughter. When she said she had the wrong number, the caller abruptly hung up. Later, Jenny wondered if the call was meant to ensure the family was awake or distracted. Part 8. The fire department controversy. The fire chief later admitted something deeply troubling. He claimed he had found a heart in the ashes. This heart was never logged as evidence. Instead, it was buried quietly. Years later, the Sodders had the heart examined by a pathologist. The verdict? It was not human. Part 9. The burned wire theory. Investigators initially claimed the fire was caused by faulty wiring, but George Sodder challenged this. The house had recently been rewired, and after the fire, electrical wires were found intact beneath the ashes. The fire should not have started the way it did. Part 10. The insurance and the mafia theory. George Sodder was outspoken in his criticism of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini. Some believe this made him enemies within the local Italian community. At the time, organized crime was active in the region. One theory suggests the children were abducted as retaliation or leverage. The Sodders received anonymous tips over the years suggesting the children were alive. Part 11. The missing children's sightings. In the years following the fire, reports surfaced of the Sodder children being seen alive. A waitress in Charleston claimed she had served them breakfast years later. Another woman said she had seen them in a hotel in Florida. None of these sightings were ever confirmed, but they never stopped. Part 12. The letter from Italy. In 1968, Jenny Sodder received a photograph in the mail. It showed a young man resembling her missing son, Louis. On the back of the photo were cryptic words: no return address, no explanation. The Sodders believed the man in the photo was their child. Authorities dismissed it. Part 13. A family that never gave up. George and Jenny Sodder dedicated the rest of their lives to finding the truth. They erected a billboard along the highway displaying the faces of the missing children. The sign stood for decades. George died without answers. Jenny died still believing her children had survived. Part 14. The unanswered questions. Why were no remains found? Why did the ladder disappear? Why did the trucks fail? Why were there reports of people near the house? Why was evidence mishandled? And why did authorities close the case so quickly? Conclusion. The Sodder children disappearance is not just a mystery. It is a collection of unanswered questions. 5 children vanished after a fire that should not have erased them completely. No bodies, no proof, only doubt. Were the children taken? Did someone want the Sodders silent? Or was something far more complex at play? Nearly 80 years later, the truth remains hidden. And until it is uncovered, the Sodder children remain missing. This is Phantom Archive.